Welcome back to ERU, the show where we round up the biggest games across the continent over the weekend. Doogie Critchley is over on Winners and Losers today. Go and check out that after this. So I'm joined by Henry Hill this morning. How are you doing, Henry?
I'm very well, thank you. I mean, sadly, I can't wax lyrical about Fulham on this platform today. But yeah, it put me in a right good mood this weekend after seeing the boys do well. But yeah, some big games across the continent this weekend, so it's all looking good.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, big shout out to Fulham. I thought they were excellent, especially in the first half against Liverpool yesterday, running rings around them.
Yes.
Before we get going, just to apologise to everyone, I've committed the cardinal sin of wearing a hat inside. My hair's an absolute mess this morning. So yeah, you're just treated to my forehead and kind of little tufts of hair coming through, Chris Hamill style. But Henry, we kick off with Real Madrid this weekend. Why is that?
That's right. Well, off the same week where they beat Mönchengladbach 2-0 in the Champions League to go top of their group stage, they won an absolute crunch tie against their cross-city rivals Atletico Madrid 2-0 at home, with goals coming from Casemiro and an unfortunate own goal from Oblak, though we, as we were just speaking off camera, will probably give the credit to Dani Carvajal for that one. Just a quick thing to point out that McCubs and I both called this victory on the most recent episode of Continental Club. We both got this spot on, in fact. So if you want to see what we were talking about there, please do drop back and see this weekend's Continental Club, and you can get it sets the scene for this game and gives you a lot more information there. But anyway, Real Madrid knew going into this game that a defeat would see them fall 9 points behind Los Blancos, who also had a game in hand, and Real Madrid clearly looked like a team who are not willing to let that happen. They came out of the blocks, created a number of chances. Oblak pulled off a wonder save from a Karim Benzema strike, who looked really back to his imperious best. And then, yeah, Casemiro headed home at Toni Kroos's corner after 15 minutes. Hector Herrera probably at fault for this one. He didn't jump with the Brazilian, but that's his third goal of the season. He's got a bit of a habit now of scoring really big goals where it matters for Madrid. You know, he got that 93rd minute equaliser away to Gladbach, which prevented a second successive Champions League defeat in late October. And, you know, I covered the Borussia Mönchengladbach game midweek, and they dominated that one. And once again, they were all over Atletico Madrid. I thought they really looked well-deserved for their victory. They had 57% of possession, 11 shots with 3 on target, whilst limiting Atleti to only 5 with just 1 on target, which I believe came sort of 10 minutes towards the end there. So it's a really dominant display from Real Madrid, who are really settling into their sort of new little stadium. But despite their dominance, it was far from a classic performance. So XG rated at 0.7 to 0.8 in Atletico Madrid's favour, so I'm sure you'll get onto that in a second, McCubs. But Zidane will be delighted. Back-to-back wins, and he welcomed back Carvajal, who had that, you know, thunderous goal, which obviously ricocheted in off Oblak. He'd missed 12 games this season with injury. And, you know, like we said, this win really helps him close the gap on Atletico Madrid. And I think Diego Simeone, he'll realise this was a real missed opportunity, won't he, McCubs?
Oh, very much so. The definition of a 6-pointer, wasn't it, this one? Yeah, I think he'll be a bit gutted with their performance. That first half, they just didn't start quick enough, did they? You know, a few mistakes at the back, let Real Madrid in, especially for that first goal. Casemiro, the defending on that was very poor, I think, by Atleti's standards. And he tried to change things at half-time, didn't he? He brought on Lamar, he brought on Correa, he brought on Lodi. And Lamar had a massive chance to equalise in that second half, didn't he? Marcus Llorente putting in that delicious ball across the box. No one got to it. Varane completely evaded him. And Lamar was, left with a gilt-edged chance to tap in at the back post. And missed the mark. Real got their second just 7 minutes later. So a real, you know, potential turning point that could have been in the game. The 25-year-old Frenchman, though, did look very good. Like he had a great goal, didn't he, against Real Valladolid last week, which I believe was his first goal for the club since the end of the 2018-19 season. Man of the match display from him in that game. But he had to do better with that chance, didn't he? But he did still look like probably their biggest threat in those final 30 minutes. He's still only scored 4 goals in 86 appearances for the club. Just goes to show how difficult a time he's had of it in Madrid, but Simeone still has faith in him, clearly. He wasn't just to blame, though. Atleti were toothless. Only Llorente created a chance in the entire team. João Felix and Suarez had one shot between them. For Real, Lucas Vázquez continued his great form. Obviously, we've been talking about how well he's kind of deputised for Carvajal at right back and playing up on the right wing this time. 7 tackles and interceptions, 2 key passes, 1 shot. Very impressive stuff from him. Carvajal also brilliant. 6 tackles and interceptions, 1 key pass, 1 short shot, and of course forced the goal with that shot. Man of the match, though, you'd have to give it to Toni Kroos. Ran the show in the middle of the park, as he has done on multiple occasions for Real over the years. 3 tackles and interceptions, 1 aerial duel, 1 dribble, 2 key passes. Completed 97% of his passes as well. So very impressive stuff even by his standards. No one has created more than his 22 chances for Real this season. So the German is having a quietly very impressive campaign. Next up for Real, they host Athletic Bilbao on Tuesday. Atleti are next in action against third-tier side Cadasar. I think I've pronounced that
Sounds
correctly.
Good enough to me.
Correct me if I'm wrong. And they, in the Copa del Rey on Wednesday as well. Massive result this. Like you said, Henry, we called this. I think my reasoning was that the La Liga title race couldn't be over just yet. And yeah, it's not. Very much all to play for now. Talking about Zidane losing his head just a week ago, weren't we? Through the UCL group stages. Now within 3 points of Atleti at the top of La Liga. All of a sudden, Zidane is very much safe in a job, and Real are back in the hunt for trophies. But what did you make of Real Madrid's performance on the weekend? Let us know in the comments below, and let's move on to our losers.
Our loser this week comes in from @Barry_Butcher_, and there is simply no other team that it could be possibly be but Borussia Dortmund this week, who were really taken to town by Stuttgart, weren't they, McCubs?
Yes, absolute humiliation, wasn't it? 5-1 loss at home, a result that means they dropped 6 points behind by Leverkusen at the top and 5 behind Bayern and Leipzig in the Bundesliga, a result that ultimately cost Lucien Favre his job as well, didn't it? More on that in a bit. But let's get into the game, because going into it, BVB were in very poor form. Only back on the 31st of October, they were level on points with Bayern after winning 5 of their opening 6 games. But since then, they've only won 1 of their last 5, losing to Bayern, Köln, and now Stuttgart. The most troubling aspect has been their defending, I think. Only a few weeks ago, we were really praising their solid start to the season, weren't we? In particular, Mats Hummels. They only conceded 2 goals in their opening 6 games. They've let in 13 in their last 5, obviously accentuated by this drubbing at the hands of Stuttgart. And their defending was terrible in this game. The visitors only had 28% possession, but somehow managed to muster 18 shots with 10 on target. That is absolutely obscene considering how little of the ball they had. Dortmund could only manage 12 shots with 4 on target. XG had it at 3.1 to 0.8 in Stuttgart's favour. That is absolutely horrific stuff from Dortmund to be letting in Stuttgart like that so many times. And they really shot themselves in the foot too, didn't they? Chan gave away that penalty in the first half. They often failed to track runners, especially in the second period. Conceded 3 goals in the space of 11 second half minutes. The game was really lost in that period because they actually started okay. Gio Reyna scored that beautiful equaliser in the 39th minute, didn't he? Go and check that out if you haven't already, because I don't know, Gio, he really does look like one of the best teenagers in the world, one of the best teenagers I've seen in some years. For me, I think like on a level with, I know I'm going to say it, but in terms of what I've seen him do, even in little moments, looks as impressive as I think Haaland or Mbappe did at his age. Not in terms of I don't know, it's difficult because he's not an out-and-out striker, so he's not going to have as many kind of crazy, he's not going to score on the level of them, but I don't know, just in terms of what I've seen him do, it's just unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. The way that he took the ball on his left foot, and then I think everyone was expecting him to hit it with his left foot, let it drop, and then he just sort of instinctively with his right foot just flicked it over the Stuttgart keeper. It was a really, really technically beautiful goal. Like you said, I encourage everyone to go and seek it out, because that kind of ingenuity and that kind of quick thinking you don't see that all the time. But I mean, yeah, big words. He certainly looks like an incredible player in the making.
Yeah, who knows? I may come to regret that one day, but I'm sticking by it for now. I really, really like Gio Reyna. Bellingham as well, another wonder kid, had one ruled out for offside in the first half, didn't he? But the second half was just a shambles, wasn't it? They were missing key players, and Haaland, Mounier, Delaney in particular. Torgan Hazard was out as well, but no excuse for the performance. And potentially the only thing worse than their defending, Doogie's put down here, is their officiating. The referee failed to give a penalty when Sosa brought down Mori in the first half, and then Hummels somehow got away with just completely taking out Gonzalez in the box. No idea how that wasn't given, nowhere near the ball. What capped off another poor performance for Hummels. And the linesman, missed that, what was probably a clear offside for Reyna's second goal, what would have been Reyna's second goal with Moukoko, very much offside in the build-up. VAR intervened, and it was rightly chalked for offside in the end. But Henry, this has just been capped off what has been a very impressive start to the season for Stuttgart.
No, that's completely right. They only got promoted last season. I think Mario Gomez had his final kind of campaign for them, sort of powered them back up. And they've really hit the Bundesliga running again. They've beaten Werder Bremen and Dortmund in back-to-back games, and also taken points off Hoffenheim and Eintracht Frankfurt. That leaves them on just 2 defeats in that opening 11 games. And they sit 7th, just 2 points behind 5th place Dortmund. So they really closed the gap on Dortmund here. Worth reminding here that Stuttgart only won the Bundesliga about 14 years ago. So they are, they're not just any old promotional side. They're a sort of sleeping giant, ready to sort of get going again in German football. And some of their players look excellent too. 19-year-old Tanguy Koulibaly. I think Pat was talking about him on the podcast recently. He looks brilliant. Normally a midfielder, but he was playing in the front here and was lethal. 4 dribbles, 3 passes, 4 shots, and their goal. And of course, their 21-year-old right midfielder, Salis Waman-Getuka, he was also brilliant. 3 tackles and interceptions, 1 dribble, 2 key passes, 3 shots, 2 goals, 1 assist. We love numbers on this channel. And he now has 7 goals and 3 assists in 11 games this season. Watch this guy. He could be, up for grabs for a lot of teams come this summer. I think it's worth remembering. The director at Stuttgart is Sven Mislintat. Is that the Mislintat, the former Arsenal director? Then he's really
and Dortmund.
Dortmund. He's done so well in eking out some of these kind of young stars, and they've got Thomas Hitzelsberger as their director of football there. So really well-run side at the moment, and a team only going in one direction. For Dortmund, however, there is a concern around Jadon Sancho, but he did actually play pretty well here. 4 dribbles, 3 key passes, and 2 shots. But he now has just 3 assists and 0 goals in his first 9 league appearances this term. So it's crazy to think that's the kind of drop-off that he's experienced. And his expected goals have also dropped from 0.42 to 0.17. It's getting to the point now, is there a reason to worry about him? What is going on? Especially if you consider that most of the season he's played with Haaland in front of him. You'd have thought that's the dream for a sort of creative player like Sancho, to have a goal machine like that in front of him to really sort of knock his numbers up. But alas not. He is beginning to struggle, although he is still showing a relative amount of quality in the games, just the end product's not quite there. But as we said, the big concern is that this has cost Lucien Favre his job. He was sacked pretty shortly after it, and his assistant Erding Terzic is now an interim role until the end of the season. It shows how desperate they kind of were to get rid of Favre now. And I've got here that it says Gladbach boss Marco Rose is the favourite for the permanent job already. That kind of surprises me. I don't know about you, McCubs. I'm surprised, considering Dortmund's defence has been so poor. I think maybe Marco Rose isn't necessarily the man. Mönchengladbach's defence haven't exactly been tip-top this season. Would Pochettino consider this job? That's an early thought. People are saying Allegri might even be interested in this, and even Jesse Marsch from Red Bull Salzburg. There's potential that he could be interested in this kind of job. Is he ready for that kind of jump over? Remains to be seen. But yeah, what do you make of Marco Rose as the favourite for this job right now, McCubs?
I guess it makes some sense, doesn't it? Obviously, he's done a very good job with Mönchengladbach. Obviously, there are the defensive concerns, but in terms of the kind of style of football that he plays, I think it kind of suits Dortmund. It's actually not that different from what Lucien Favre has been doing. Very kind of vertical style, isn't it? Marco Rose probably a bit more kind of with the times now, isn't he? I'd say in terms of what he's doing with Mönchengladbach, and very much a manager on the up. Whereas I don't think you could necessarily say the same thing about Favre. So yeah, I can kind of see it. Obviously, yeah, we've kind of joined Doogie in banging the drum about Pochettino a little bit, haven't we, in recent weeks. There is a video about where Pochettino should go next on this channel, which talks about Dortmund. But yeah, I think Marco Rose makes sense actually. I know, like you said, there's defensive concerns, but that Dortmund defense can be, does have the tools to be decent, and I wouldn't necessarily take Mönchengladbach's early season form as the norm for what Marco Rose would do with the defence. I definitely think he's probably a safer bet than Jesse Marsch, who'd obviously be coming into the Bundesliga for the first time. And Allegri, I just don't see it with Allegri, personally. That's my take on it.
No, of course. I personally would love to see something like Ralph Hasenhüttl go there. Would he leave Southampton? Probably not. But anyway, it is an attractive job, nonetheless, for any big manager out there. And for Dortmund now, they have a game against Werder Bremen on Tuesday. Then they travel to Union Berlin, who did sneak a point off Bayern Munich this weekend. So not an easy game there. And so yeah, they've got two really big games now to try and turn around their season. But yeah, Dortmund in a bit of a free fall right now.
Indeed. Let's move on to our Star of the Week. So our Star of the Week this week comes from @BuyerBaby77. I truly hope that it was actually them who sent it in, and that's not just a handle that was made up by Doogie to shoehorn Leon Bailey in. But yeah, we had to speak about Leon Bailey. I feel like he's gone under the radar a little bit, at least from our end this season. But yeah, had an amazing performance on the weekend, didn't he, Henry?
That's true. He scored twice as Bayer Leverkusen continued their brilliant start to the season. They beat Hoffenheim 4-1 at home to go top of the Bundesliga. No games in hand elsewhere. They just, they're completely on merit. So congratulations to Leverkusen. Peter Bosch doing an absolutely brilliant job there. But this is the first from Leon Bailey was a curling effort after exchanging passes with Amari from a short corner, and the second came from an atrocious back pass from the normally really reliable Kramaric. We sort of always big him up here on the channel, but yeah, not one to remember for the Croatian. And it capped off a magnificent night for Bailey. 1 tackle, 2 dribbles, 1 key pass, 4 shots and 2 goals. He now has 9 goals and 5 assists in 16 League and Europa League games this season. That's 9 in his last 9 games. We've criticised him in the past for not always being the most consistent, but Bailey's really turning on the star and helping Leverkusen to a brilliant run, isn't he, McCubs?
Yeah, it was another brilliant win for Peter Bosch's side, wasn't it? 7th in their last 8. In those games, they've scored a ridiculous 21 goals. Only Bayern with 35 and Stuttgart with 24 have scored more than their 23 in the league this season. Only Leipzig have actually conceded fewer as well. So very solid at the back as well for Bosch's side. And yeah, they had a number of key performances, haven't they, aside from Bailey? Lucas Alario, 8 goals in 8 games. He's been a bit of a talismanic figure for them in the early months. Moussa Diaby has carried on the excellent form that he was kind of showed in the back end of last season. Florian Wirtz, is having an amazing breakout campaign so far, isn't he? Go and check out his goal as well, because God, that might have that might have even been on a level with Leon Bailey's. Such great close control in the box, brilliant balance and composure to then kind of chip it past the keeper, like the sort of goal that you're used to seeing in like a cage or at the park, isn't it? Yeah, great stuff from the teenager. Really looking forward to seeing how he develops over the next 12 months. But yeah, Leverkusen in fantastic form. The loss of Kai Havertz in the summer threatened to really see them drop off, but they've reacted in such a great way this season. Still look as solid a team. Obviously, Kevin Volland as well left as well. So, yeah, I've done an amazing job to kind of mask those departures and really kick on. And yeah, they look like a good bet to win their first trophy since 1993 this campaign, whether that be the Europa League or the DFB Pokal. I think the Bundesliga, personally, I still feel like they wouldn't have enough to win it, but stranger things have happened. Yeah. Although not in the Bundesliga in recent years, because Bayern continue to dominate. But that's all we have time for on ERU this week. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave us a like, and of course subscribe to Euro Football Daily if you haven't done so already. If you haven't done so already, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. But Henry, if they want to stay on if they want to stay on Eurofootball Daily, where should they go next?
If you haven't already, we've been talking about Gio Reyna. Go check out our EFT explaining why America is producing so much talent. We give you a good rundown of why Gio Reyna is as good as he is through the US system. And support this weekend's the football pyramid stuff. I almost forgot. We're entering a very crunch stage now where it's quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final. So if you want to see me and McCubs go all the way and have the Classica showdown in the final, keep supporting the channel there.
Yeah, indeed. I actually didn't see Doogie's draw until about a day late, but glad to see that we've been kept apart so far. It's destined for a final, isn't it? Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you soon.